What happens when an HOA Karen calls 911? Because she couldn't open a black man's front door? What she didn't know was that his son was the sheriff. And when the truth came out, her entire world crumbled. Some stories are almost too unbelievable to be true, but they reveal something powerful about prejudice, arrogance, and karma. This is the story of Walter Johnson, a 62-year-old retired schoolteacher. He had saved his entire life to buy his dream home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. But there was one thing he didn't know when he moved in. The HOA board was run by a woman everyone secretly called Karen. Her real name was Deborah White, and she carried herself like the queen of the neighborhood. Rules weren't guidelines to her, they were weapons, and Walter, he was about to find out just how far she would go. Walter moved into the neighborhood with pride. His wife had passed a few years earlier, and this house was supposed to be his fresh start. He painted the porch, planted flowers, and sat in his rocking chair in the evenings with a book. At first, neighbors waved politely. But Deborah, the HOA president, kept a close eye on him. She didn't like new people, and she especially didn't like someone who didn't immediately bow down to her authority. It started small. A letter about his trash cans, a warning about his lawn height. But Walter wasn't a man easily shaken. "Ma'am," he told her once, "I follow the rules. Always have. Always will." But to Deborah, his calm resistance was an insult, and soon her pettiness turned into obsession. One warm evening, Walter locked his doors and went to bed early. At 10:47 p.m., Deborah marched up his driveway. She had convinced herself that Walter's front porch furniture wasn't HOA approved, and in her mind, that gave her the right to inspect his home. She tried the doorknob. Locked. She jiggled it harder. Still locked. Her frustration boiled over. She pounded on the door. "Open up! This is HOA business," she shouted. But Walter was asleep. When she realized she couldn't get in, Deborah pulled out her phone. With trembling, angry fingers, she dialed 911. "Yes, I need officers right away," she snapped. "There's a suspicious black man barricading himself in a home he doesn't own." Her lie was chilling. And dangerous. The pounding and shouting woke Walter. Confused, he shuffled to the door, only to hear sirens in the distance growing louder. "What in the world?" he muttered. Through the window, he saw red and blue lights flooding the street. Several patrol cars screeched to a stop outside his house. Officers rushed out, hands near their holsters. Walter's stomach dropped. He knew how quickly misunderstandings could turn deadly. He raised his hands and slowly stepped outside onto the porch. "Evening, officers," he said calmly. "Can I help you?" Deborah stormed forward, pointing at him. "That's him! He's trespassing in that house. He broke in. I tried the door and it was locked." Walter's jaw dropped. "This is my house. I've got the deed inside if you'd like to see it." The officers hesitated, glancing at each other. The situation was tense, and then one of them got a call over his radio. "Sheriff's on the way," the dispatcher said. Deborah smirked. "Good. Let's get this criminal out of here." Minutes later, another set of headlights appeared. A black SUV pulled up, and out stepped a tall, uniformed man. The deputies straightened immediately. It was Sheriff Marcus Johnson, Walter's son. He locked eyes with his father, then turned to Deborah. "Someone want to explain what's going on here?" Deborah puffed up her chest. "Finally, Sheriff. This man broke into this home. I demand you arrest him immediately." Marcus stared at her. His face hardened. "Ma'am, that man is my father, and this is his home." The silence that followed was deafening. Deborah's face went pale. What? That's impossible." "He doesn't belong—" Marcus cut her off sharply. "Enough. You lied to 911. You attempted unlawful entry into private property, and you endangered my father's life tonight." The deputies moved in. Deborah stumbled backward. "You can't arrest me. I'm the HOA president." She shrieked, but her title meant nothing now. The cuffs clicked around her wrists. Walter watched silently, his chest heavy with both relief and heartbreak. He had faced discrimination before, but seeing his own neighbor try to weaponize the police against him, it cut deep. The neighborhood buzzed with the news for weeks. Some neighbors apologized to Walter, admitting they had let Deborah control everything for too long. Others stayed silent, embarrassed to have supported her. Deborah faced charges for filing a false report, harassment, and attempted unlawful entry. She was removed from the HOA permanently. As for Walter, he chose not to move. "This is my home," he told his son, "and I'm not running from anyone." From that day forward, no one questioned him again. And every evening when Marcus stopped by to check on him, the sight of the sheriff's SUV in the driveway was a reminder. Walter wasn't alone. One quiet evening, Walter sat on his porch as the sun dipped below the horizon. His rocking chair creaked gently. He thought about his wife, about the life he'd built, about the courage it took to stand tall even when the world tried to push him down. And he smiled. Because in the end, justice had spoken louder than prejudice. "People like her," he whispered to himself. "They think they can break you. But truth always wins." This story isn't just about an HOA Karen, it's about resilience, truth, and justice. Walter Johnson's strength and his son's loyalty remind us that lies and hate may roar, but they can never win against courage and family. If this story moved you, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes in standing tall against injustice.